Hey, everybody, welcome to Throwin Wrenches podcast. This is Eric Stahl.
And I'm Daryl Scott, and welcome to the automotive podcast that's settling in for a cold, hard winter.
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
GM workers, it's time to come back to the office.
Mayor Pete wants more bike lanes.
And anyone want to buy a VW factory?
All that and more on this episode of Throwin Wrenches.
Let's go, girls.
Oh, that sweet, sweet jam. But what was that? I mean, Daryl,
Is that a reference?
When you started the car to come to the show, I think I heard it a little bit. A little Shania tonight on the way here?
Yeah, I think that might be a callback to a previous episode.
Or pre-show, one of the two.
Yeah, it was a pre-show reference.
It was all about Gabe and the pre-show. So if you're not a pre-show subscriber, well, shame on you.
You'll understand the joke.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, joining the fun of the show. As we always say, send us an email to info@throwinwrenches.com, and make sure to post a review on iTunes, and I'll read it so you're heard all around the world. Which, how many reviews we get this week, Daryl?
0.
Yeah.
I checked even before I came here.
I did too. I checked last week after the Gabe show. So I have not exuded enough guilt on our listeners. So
is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. So we would love a review. Oh, by the way, if you're a Patreon subscriber, make sure you listen to this Patreon pre-show because I think we got some swag coming in the mail, but we need your size.
Yes.
So anyway,
T-shirt size.
What
belt size?
I was going to leave it like a little vague, so
shoe size.
People could think. Anyway,
theater of the mind. Is that what you're saying? I don't.
All right, we do have a special guest tonight, but if you don't know my co-host Daryl Scott, well, according to a Wired magazine article I just read, we gravitate towards puzzles when depressed. If that's the case, my co-host is either always or never depressed. Case in point, the 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle he put together for the Forts YJ. He must have been depressed to take on that carburetor project, but he probably feels like $1 million now. Until he doesn't. He's Daryl Scott.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm not depressed tonight. I got that carburetor back in one piece. I'm very surprised. For those of you who don't know my co-host collects classic movies like some of us collect classic cars. He scours the countryside for DVD versions of the Marx Brothers and Bogart films and suspense thrillers from years past. His rationale? Well, some of this stuff won't be around in 20 years, he says. He's preserving copies of black and white films on Blu-ray for some reason. He's the archivist known as Mr. Eric Stahl.
I may not be here in 20 years. I mean, let's be honest. As the oldest one at this table.
Come now.
Yeah, there is another wheel at the table here. We are three-wheeling it tonight. Welcome, Mr. Jacob Irish. He's taking a sip.
I have the applause queued up here.
Yeah, you missed him the first time.
I did. Well, I'm
Anyway.
new here.
Oh,
there it is.
Welcome, Jacob Irish. All right, while Daryl's figuring out the board.
Again.
Yeah. If you don't know Jacob Irish, Jeepers Crow, while some of us have given up on the four-wheeling hobby, speaking for myself, we have to live vicariously through this guy. Oh, and that STC Tacoma's already gone. He changes trucks like other guys change their shorts. He's Jacob Irish. Welcome, Mr. Irish.
And I never wear shorts.
Never? Is it like a policy?
Dude, that's true. We've been on vacation before, and we're all like in shorts, and this dude's wearing long pants.
You betcha.
Do you wear flip flops with short or with pants?
Yeah.
Do you burn easily or something, or what do you?
Nah, it's just
You got knobby knees.
He's got to have the whitest damn legs. Someday I'm going to see him in like some checkered shorts, like flipping a burger.
You should have been on this Colorado trip. Don maybe didn't make me, but he's like, you should buy these shorts, and I did, and I wore them the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big day.
Yeah, but I usually don't change shorts, but I do change trucks.
Everybody, welcome to Throwin Wrenches.
Yeah. We'd like to do another quick thank you. We thanked our Patreon supporters, and again, we could not do the show without you. Your support does keep us motivated, so thank you for that. A quick thank you and shout out to our longtime sponsor, Forts Toyota of Pekin. They're on the web at toyota-pekin.com. You can check them out off of 29, actually Radio City Drive in beautiful North Pekin.
Beautiful.
Not that far from my favorite haunts, Jimbo's Jumbo or Rosati's Pizza right across the way. So, you can go get your car oil changed, get it serviced, talk to someone like, I don't know, maybe Eric or some of the other fine service folks. And while you're doing that, go get a deep dish Chicago-style pizza across the street. It's a really good combination. And then afterwards, when you don't finish it all, you can go back to the fort's waiting room and stink up the waiting room with your leftover pizza.
Absolutely.
Like I've done a few times.
Yeah. It's 15 minutes from anywhere, according to the website and our old ad campaign from 30 years ago. But if you can go to www.toyota-pekin.com, you'll find all the new and used cars. And we got some cars showing up. Had a transport today with some Camrys on it. Had 2 Highlanders show up yesterday. So maybe we'll find your dream car. Just call a salesman to get signed up for the next one coming in.
Not too shabby. Also, another quick shout-out to our other sponsor, Gabe Casey, for Tazewell County State's Attorney. You're probably very intimately familiar with Gabe Casey as his previous guest appearances on this program and also guest hosting. We do want to give a shout-out to him because he is running for Tazewell County State's Attorney. If you're ready for a change, experience matters. And you can check him out on Facebook. And I don't have his website, even though I said it last week.
It's Gabe Casey for Tazewell County State's Attorney. I think if you search that out, you find it.
Probably.
But I think it's Casey for SA.
SA.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
No, thanks, Gabe. Appreciate the continued support to the show. And Patreon folks, man, you got a great episode with Jake talking about Kubota tractors and kind of going from his previous occupation with cell phones and T-Mobile and all that stuff to German Bliss in East Peoria. So great show. Thanks, Jake, for participating in that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I mean, you listen to him, so it's nice every once in a while. You can't be a 5-timer member like some of the other.
Yeah, no, this is my second time.
We'll get the jacket for you. It's on order because you're coming back.
All right, we start every show off like we do any other time. It's the project section of the show. I don't have a whole lot. I will tell you this.
No?
Because I'll just go ahead and start. It got down to 28 degrees here about a week ago.
Oh, yeah, it did.
And so I rushed to Farm and Fleet to grab 3 gallons of antifreeze for my camper because it was 2 nights in a row, I believe, it froze.
It was like 26 and 28 or something. It was brutal.
The first night, I was like, oh, crap, it stung me. But that next night I got home, it was still 40 degrees when I got home at 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh, it's going to freeze again. So I rushed, and I pumped so much antifreeze through my system.
Now, that's the pink stuff, right? The RV antifreeze?
It's a pink, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, $6 a gallon or something like that.
Is that different? Here's how I'm stupid. I don't know anything about RVs. Is that different than, like, glycol-based stuff for cars?
And so all I can think is it's non-toxic. Yeah, so that way, if you shower in it or if you drink it, it won't kill you.
You're not going to die instantly. Okay,
exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because actually a lot of it dripped out when I was trying to dump it in the side of the camper through the regular water inlet.
Yeah,
but it was dumping all. I didn't have a funnel, and the cats were right there, like bathing in it underneath there. I'm like, and they're all still walking around.
It's non-toxic.
They're all still walking around, So
allegedly,
yeah. But no, that was the biggest project I had, and.
Did you get it done, though? I mean, you're good to...
She's winterized. I just need to park her over at the storage facility, and I think we're good for the winter. I did not stay in that one night this year, but I did rent it out probably about 20 nights. So
you did pretty good, I imagine.
Yeah, so I made half my payments for the year. I mean, it was a weird year anyway, so I didn't get to enjoy it like I wanted to, but at least it paid for itself, kind of.
Yeah.
And with the low interest rate, Jake,
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
perfect. It's funny. When I bought that camper, and this will go back to the pre-show, folks, they discounted it like $2,000 or $3,000. We got a low APR.
It was like the middle of the pandemic, right?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, and now people are like trying to find these things, and I think I could actually still sell that for more than I paid for it, which is crazy to think a year and a half later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for something like that. There's depreciation, everything else, but people are looking for escapes, right?
Yeah.
People are looking to have those experiences where they get out and, life's crazy. I want to go to Montana for a week and just camp in a field.
Well, here's inflation. But think about inflation, too. How much more is it going to cost to make these things? So I bought it basically when they were still discounting them. Mm-hmm. The retail prices have probably gone up 10 or 15% now. Yeah, so it's a nice feeling. And I have all that to thank to Mr. Jake Irish.
Yeah, you are very welcome.
You're the voice of encouragement for
folks.
No,
he's
actually, buy a tractor.
Somehow when Jake says do it, my wife says that's a good idea.
We should.
And has it steered you wrong?
No.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. There's just something you have a commanding tone with the women. Does this work with your wife?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
No comment. I'm going to plead the fifth.
Immune.
Yeah. Other than that, no, I still haven't sold Aiden's 4Runner and the race car. I have a guy at work who wants to buy the race car, so I'm not doing anything. But
Is the race car what you're calling the Scion?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a race car.
I know.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it is.
And I'm thinking that red Celica. I think I might buy a transmission for it. I really,
Thank you. Finally, some sensible decisions.
I think I'm going to make that car drivable at some point.
So this is what, a 94?
95.
95 Celica.
Yeah.
Two-door automatic.
GT with the full hatchback, not the regular, the little coupe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice looking.
tan
pretty
leather
clean
interior.
car.
Yeah. So I think this, for my daughter next summer. And plus I still have the black Celica I have nothing with either. But I'm thinking this red car could be fun. So
I applaud that decision.
All right.
I like to see you working on stuff.
But does the mixer applaud it?
Let's ask the studio audience. What do you think?
Oh, thanks.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Was this, did you bet your life or what?
It's like a Ronco infomercial.
All right, that's all I got, Daryl. Not a whole lot from me.
Not a whole lot for me either. I did finally wrap up, thanks to my lovely wife who finished some repairs on the upholstery. The Cadillac interior is done.
Dude, gorgeous, by the way.
Back in action. Thank you. It's been a long time coming. The next phase of that, a lot of folks have been following along asking, does it run? Was it run? Are you going to drive it? Are you going to run? It'll get there.
Which the goal was last June, wasn't it?
It was this summer, yeah. But winter project, I think I'm going to pull the brakes apart. I got to send the master cylinder and the booster. It's a weird, what they call like a divorced booster. So the booster's actually like on the front of the motor. And it's not a Hydra boost. It's kind of weird. It's still a vacuum-powered booster. It's goofy. But I'm going to send both of those out and get those re-sleeved and redone. And I can actually get wheel cylinders brand new. So I'm just going to go through those, have the drums turned by Vashon Brake here in Peoria. Mm-hmm. So that'll all be good to go, and then try to work on the motor, get the carb rebuilt, fuel system, and hopefully
So disc brakes in a 55, was that high upgrade?
Drum. They're
drums.
drums.
So you're turning the drums.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were turning discs.
I might have said that.
We used to turn drums on the Amco brake lathes.
Yeah. Do you guys still have one in the shop?
We do. It doesn't run. I was thinking about selling it because there's this crew that comes from South America every once in a while with the truck and just buys old equipment.
Yeah.
We haven't run our Amco lathe in forever.
So what's it need? Is a motor burned out?
There's usually a little gear that burns out in them. I think it's made of plastic. They're kind of disposable, but honestly, we have on-car lathes now, and we're
I've seen videos of that. That's a thing? You
it
just
is,
machine
but
on
but the problem is it would never work for a drum. But the amount of drum brakes we're doing anymore versus 10 years ago is non-existent. So
let's talk.
okay, yeah, I do.
What's an Amco brake machine go for?
I don't know. Probably $500.
project.
Probably $500. Oh, you would love it. You would love it,
That'd be awesome. Just have it sitting in the corner of the
dude.
shop.
The car club would have meetings at your place just to turn rotors.
Probably. Probably. There's a friend of mine whose dad he's got one. He's an old dirt track racer. Mm-hmm. Lives out in Princeville and Brimfield. I'm sorry, Brimfield. And yeah, it's like, hey, how's your dad doing? Can he do these brakes for me? I feel bad for the guy because it's just like people just dump stuff off like kittens at a shelter. It's just like, here's a bunch of
just boxes of old rotors laying there. Yeah, great.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing I was going to say. Friday Night Lights. We didn't talk about this. Did you go to Friday Night Lights?
I didn't. That was last Friday?
Yeah.
Last Friday. No.
Did you go, Jake?
No.
Yeah, it was trunk or treat.
A good turnout?
I drove through it. I went with the Ford's 4Runner, my Tree Hugger 3.0. I had my lights on, everything, kind of showing off. It was packed. It was slammed. Just when I thought the car scene might be evaporating because there's been some weirdness lately, and it seems like a little lackluster.
Sure.
The cars, it was a perfect night for weather for sure. But man, I think the Preston did a count. It was 800 or 900 cars were there that night. It was massive.
The turnout last year for the trunk or treat was huge. We went to Costco and got 3 bags of candy and ran out.
Mm-hmm. It's the popular way to trick or treat anymore. No one wants to go to someone's house. It's different era.
Washington Street,
is.
Pekin.
Different era.
We used to do that every year. We're not going to do it this year. That's one of the rare streets in Pekin where people still. Yeah, you think about country club and stuff like that. There's no sidewalks.
Yep.
And then everybody's driving with their kids in the car, which is more annoying than anything. Let the damn kids walk. Mm-hmm. Sorry, did I swear on the regular show?
No, it's fine. We used to walk. I mean, that was the thing.
Yep.
You'd go through.
We were set free.
drop your bag at home and then get another bag and go out and hit another neighborhood and just keep coming back round robin style.
Yeah.
It was great.
But,
and then the next day, your knees hurt and your parents gave you 5 Tylenol Children's and you moved on.
that might have just been your household.
Yeah.
Maybe. It wasn't Tylenol
that
PM.
part.
It was just, my knees hurt.
Now, Jake, I don't know what kind of projects you have, but I was kind of hoping that tell us what anything you got going on, because I know you had like a quad and some other stuff too.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear a roundup of what happened at Southern Cruiser Crawl this year,
Sure.
because you went. So please illuminate us.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of like quote unquote projects. I traded the Tacoma in shortly after Southern Cruiser Crawl because my wife sent me a message and said that's what we're doing.
But
She
honestly,
was just really excited about this Highlander.
You were going on 2 years in the car anyway. That's long for you anyway.
And it's very long for me.
Borrowed
Yeah,
time.
I don't know how. I was trying to count how many cars I've had since the last show.
But for the folks at home, the Tacoma was not just your everyday Tacoma, because you generally
No.
don't leave things stock very long.
No, it was not stock.
It sat up nice. What's a recap of what you did?
So it had a Vertex suspension lift from rough country, remote reservoirs, upper control arms.
It was nice.
It was actually kind of mild from what I've done in the past, but that was almost by design, because as you get different vehicles and do different things, you realize what you need, what you don't really need, you know.
It's something that you're driving daily. You've done stuff before where you're like, yeah, I kind of ruined it.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
did some big stuff before that I was like superchargers, that I was like, this is really fun to show off, and man, I really miss just putting regular gas in.
Trey Ivy, speaking of, Trey Ivy was in today. And that's a perfect example. The guy's a 2016 Tacoma, 33s or 35s on it, lifted up pretty good, and he put Total Chaos lower control arms in the front, which is
Is that the
what,
black one you posted before?
No, it's like the
Okay.
light blue, but those lower control arms are overkill, because by that time now you've just gone like a whole different level, and it squeaks, it's kind of noisy, it rides rougher, and you kind of took the drivability out of the truck.
Looks good, though.
Yeah, but you did not do it. The white truck was,
No, it was a completely 100% drivable, enjoyable, didn't lose its power. It had the right size tires.
the
for
bronze
lift.
TRD wheels
That
on the
it
white
did.
truck. Yes.
Loved
Yeah.
it.
I almost thought that Fords would like keep those wheels and do something.
Well, they got to
with
take
it,
pictures of it as it sits. So
Yeah.
but they're no difference in price than the black ones.
Yeah.
So
So, anyways,
No,
I'm
so
not seeing a tear well up in the corner of your eye.
No,
Okay.
there really isn't. I got to find my next project. In May I came across a mutual friend and of someone else that was doing a side by side, and I thought that's something that we could do as a family. It was the right machine. We just don't have the right time for it. That's being the guy that I bought it from is needing one, and he's buying it. So I'm losing all of my off-road goodies.
And that was a Polaris Razor?
Yeah, Polaris Razor Pro XP. It's actually turned out to be in that moment where I work at a Polaris dealer. There's so many stop runs on these vehicles that you have to like pull up the VIN number and be like, is this a halt to operation? Is there a recall? And this one's like one of like 100 that don't have a problem.
Yeah.
But we, when I say never used it, we just don't have the time. Lily got into high school, and then you don't think of all the things that come up with high school.
oh yeah.
Like we were like, oh, we both have the weekends off, and it's just going to work out great. And no,
Not so much.
No.
Yeah. There's always something competing for
probably
time.
went too far head first into it, thinking that we would want to do the things that we do with the Toyotas. Not the case at all. I almost kind of was like, I should just get like a little UTV thing to put around the property and stuff like that.
Or a 96 Tacoma, like little mule.
Yeah.
Something like
yeah,
that.
no, for real. Like that's with a bed,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
dump bed. And,
Yeah, it's better than a quad, really.
But the Tacoma we traded in, it was one of the few vehicles I've taken to multiple SCC, which is Southern Cruiser Crawl trips. So I got to experience that twice. This year, I went, and then my cousin Andrew went again, and we brought a buddy of ours who's big into Toyotas. They used to have like 85 4Runners and were built, solid axle. And
Yeah.
he came out. We graduated high school together, so that was just a trip in itself. We hadn't gotten together. The last time us three had gotten together was actually like February of 2020. So imagine life in February of 2020 to now. And
A few things have changed.
yeah, just a little bit.
And for those who don't know SCC, I want to step back. Southern Cruiser Crawl. It's held every October. It's in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's at what used to be called Super Lift, but I guess now it's called Hot Springs Off-Road
just
Park.
Hot Springs Off-Road Park.
Yeah.
They got new owners last year that were trying to figure it out, and then this year they really figured it out. Eric, you wouldn't believe how organized the park was just to get in.
Yeah, I've heard that they changed the gateway.
They got lanes, they got one-ways, they got a specific exit, and you think like, when I first pulled up, you're like, oh, geez, it was easy.
That's cool.
It was clear, and everyone was moving.
I talked to Scott Wernberg about it, and Scott's one of our longtime trail team guys, and he said, like, there's an open area that we normally would kind of get to where everything kind of split off.
Yeah.
And they finally made some decent use of that space, right?
Yeah, so RVs are there now, and they're not getting dusted out. And they built a new trail to go around it to get to the backside of the park. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, it's all usable. They got RV spots, tent spots. They got places that people who have larger groups can have their vehicles without being in the traffic lane.
Nice.
Without having to drive, you just get dust bowled out.
Yeah.
So logistically, they did a whole lot of work to keep things simpler.
They did.
Yeah.
And, Scott was like, I bet they have a small bulldozer doing this. I go, I bet they got a mini excavator doing this. No. We're on the trail. There's a mini excavator. I was like, I told you so.
Gotcha.
with a blade on the front of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was a great trip. Scott and Candy came out again, which we had talked before, and Eric, we were really sad that you had missed, but like when I decided to go, then they signed up, and then my cousin signed up, and our buddy, and we met up with some people that we had gone out to a couple years, and had a really great time. No one broke anything. No one was too abusive. A lot of the trails have changed because they've, like, the map was different this year than it was the year before.
Yeah, I heard I could pitch my map.
Toss it.
Yeah.
It is, like, you think, like, would they add, like, one little loop? No. Like, I was comparing. I'm like, oh, boy, I got us lost because this doesn't exist on my map.
Really?
There's a lot more trails, but it's the same size park, but there's a lot more trails to it. And then those guys at Southern Cruiser Crawl are wonderful. It was all about Lash this year. He was their treasurer for Cottonland. He had passed away, and I didn't know that until I got there. And like they had recognized me. We had been going for so long.
Yeah.
They had asked me if I remember. I was like, well, yeah. And they go, remember he did the whole speech last year, and he had passed away. So their whole thing was hashtag live like Lash. And Eric, they had the benefit that was for a scholarship for someone that had to be a member of the TLCA, the Toyota Land Cruiser Association, and couldn't be a straight A student. That had to be a BC student. And I don't know the exact number, but I think they raised, don't quote me, it was ridiculous, the amount of bids on. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. They have this item that they would bid where you would bid enough to do the charity raffle. You get like a bag of tickets. And usually it got to like $500, and that person would get the bag of tickets, and it was over 10,000.
Holy smokes!
Wow.
It was like crazy to watch it because they just 10,000, and they're getting like 100 tickets. But I think they raised over $30,000.
That would make sense because I've seen 18 to 20, and but if the event has grown a little bit and because of Lash. I could see.
Yeah, it was.
I could see a 30
for
class.
Lash.
Yeah.
Really cool shirts. They had his Land Cruiser up there.
Yeah.
The rollover that Scott was talking about, we didn't talk about in the pre-show. I'll talk about it here. There was a company that builds and refurbishes 40 Series Land Cruisers. And I have a picture of it. It was gorgeous. It was white. It was perfect. For some reason, they decided to take it out on the trail.
Which Mike Fortnite took his 40 on the trail years ago. I'm just saying, we did. It can be done.
This was a customer's.
Oh.
Oh, and it's the company showing it off.
And the company showing it off.
Well, I guess that won't be the
Okay,
customers
so-
for long.
All right.
It's Saturday. We're done wheeling. We're trying to find spots to sit. And out of the corner of my eye and earshot, I hear this guy say, we need some help. I got people going to the hospital. It ended up being not as serious as they thought, but they said, I rolled the 40. And someone said, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Like we can get some sense people out there. And he goes, no, I rolled the 40. And one of the event organizers goes, did you roll the 40? I'm like, okay. Took me a little bit to realize that it was the white one that had sat up front for the show. They had taken it on some trail that there was no reason for it to be on. But yeah, a bunch of guys jumped in their vehicles and it came back and it left on just a flatbed tow truck. And
The
my
rear
buddy
ends
took-
have no mobility on those. They're narrow.
It was gone.
Is it because
gone.
of the short wheelbase, or it doesn't have that big a stance? Or
Yeah, short wheelbase, leaf springs. It just doesn't have the flex. So once those vehicles start
To rock.
going,
Yeah, they're not going.
there's nowhere for the suspension to move. That you're done. You're going.
It's like a solid rear vehicle is what it is at that point.
Yeah, it got out from under him.
Mm-hmm.
It rolled. I mean, he had blood coming down his face, and he thought he broke his arm. I think, and ended up dislocating his elbow. I mean, he
got banged up pretty good.
he got banged up bad.
Truck itself, I mean, total loss.
Seriously.
I could show you pictures. I could show you before and after. It's bad.
That sucks. Was it kind of a stock build, or was
Yes.
it okay?
Yeah,
so like a restoration.
They didn't do any. It was a gorgeous 40. Everyone, that's what they said. You rolled the 40.
The 40.
The 40.
Oh, that's painful.
And the guy was on the flatbed. We're like, oh man, what's happening? He goes, well, we don't know because this was a customer's. They waited a long time.
Oh man.
Waited. So
I mean,
that was a pretty good highlight.
Yeah, that's something everyone will remember. For
Absolutely.
years to come.
Yeah.
One thing that we started doing, and man, we missed the last 2 years.
Well, now see, I had to struggle with this because I thought, I'm like, what? Why did I miss last year? It couldn't have been that big of a reason.
2021, you didn't go last year.
Oh yeah, because my son was homecoming king.
King.
Yeah.
No, all valid and
that's
and
right.
worthful reasons.
I had to stay home.
But
for that.
suddenly, you start thinking, gosh, what has Eric missed? Oh yeah, we didn't go in 2020 because of COVID.
Yeah. Holy
They
crap!
canceled.
Now when I go next, it'll be 4 years.
So it's
Wow.
It's grown. This year did not feel as packed as 21, in probably a good way. Like I think they limited a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
They've always been really well organized,
Yeah.
but this year they were extremely organized, and you knew when they were doing the stuff that there was a limited number. But
Well, not to take anybody down a peg or anything like that, but does limiting it sometimes kind of keep some of the
yes,
okay?
Oh,
thank
yeah,
you.
I know where you're going.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to say amateurs or because there's a time and a place for that. If you're like, oh, I think I want to get involved,
But
I think I want to try.
I
something like
will
this.
disagree with that statement on an event like FJ Summit because there's an elitist element where those people all click in because it sells out so fast.
And it's like you have to know. You have
Yeah,
to be one of the in crowd.
exactly, and they could charge a premium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they only get a certain crowd, and that can be a bit annoying. Whereas Southern Cruiser
get you.
Crawl, people who show up at Southern Cruiser Crawl, whole different
totally.
wheeling
Different vibe.
society. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's super, just like the most welcoming that you could imagine. Yeah, we had a great time. We stayed at the KOA. We always do. We ate at the Colonial breakfast every day. That guy's still at the table. Yeah, absolutely.
He's like a regular
there. The manager who berates his employees in front of the customer.
He is still there.
That's my kind of restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Still there. It's an event that I'll probably always go to it as long as they have it, just because.
Yeah.
The park's not this. It's great to wheel in any kind of weather, but it had been, like we could tell, it had been more dry there than it had been here recently.
Mm-hmm.
The dust can get bad.
The dust was brutal.
Let me ask you this, too. I know we've talked about it in previous shows and stuff, and someday I'd like to be a fly on the wall and go to one of these
You
things.
need to come.
I really would.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
Does
absolutely.
anybody take anything stock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you could take, like, let's say a 5-year-old Tacoma or
100%.
I could take Tree Hugger 3.0 out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there'd be no issues with
getting
hung up on
it
stuff?
Would be, I'd be scraping and banging going down some trails that Tree Hugger 1 didn't bother me. It would probably phase me with 3.0 if I don't lift it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But there's definitely, you can have fun without being lifted. But, man, once you've tasted some of those back trails, it's hard not to do those.
Yeah, and it was hard.
It's a gateway.
I've taken I took the Razor out to one park. And I did have some, those things, they don't beat you up, and you could ride all day. And I was like, if I had the Razor here, I would totally be doing this.
Just dominant.
Yeah. But the flip side is you can take totally stock, and you can get to spots where you can watch. And that's something that we did this year. We made a point to stop and watch some of these rear wheel steer Toyota purpose-built machines, and you watch them. It's really cool. We've stopped and watched them bang up the obstacles and stuff, but when you get I can't think of Bill's last name.
Oh, Bill with the cowboy hat?
Yeah. When you watch,
like a buggy
he's got a buggy. Yeah.
Okay. When you watch guys like that don't care about their rig, that's one thing. But where they're not tearing it up,
they're not abusing.
They are very much placing those tires, and it's like a dance.
Yeah,
and that was a really cool part of it, where you watch these vehicles and they're dancing, and you can just tell there's boom.
It's like choreography.
Very much. Very much.
And you're like, there's no way this thing's going to get up there. And you watch them work it, and you're like, all right, cool.
And the new thing this year was there were a lot of rear-wheel steer buggies that were electronic. And watching someone spot a rear-wheel steer is different than a front wheel.
I can't even imagine.
It was different, because you think, oh, well, and then you hear them,
because are you doing two hands in front of each other or something?
Passenger rear now. And they'd have this setup where it's toggle switch.
Is all electric steer? Or
electric in the rear, and they would adjust it and leave it. It was dancing up rock faces.
That's crazy.
It was.
That's crazy. Because I remember, years ago watching some people build stuff where it was all Hydro Boost, everything's hydraulic controlled and stuff. So you've got all kinds of, not servos, I don't know what you call them, but like assist and stuff like that. But you can do electric. I've seen people add electric power steering to older British cars and things that didn't come with it. Yep. You can add electric
None of
power
them had a
steering to
wheel.
anything.
It was like a turn signal,
like a little pad.
Just a pad.
That's crazy.
But the spotter,
it's like a mouse.
Yeah, like they had a specific person that would spot rear wheel steer. It was a completely different.
That'd be so
type of
out.
Conversation. Yeah.
Now, there was a couple years ago, I sat with Stork, and we watched some of that. We watched Bill and those guys go up. Were you there that year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I remember.
I haven't missed a year.
Okay, and I just remember us doing that. But I think that was also the year the guy showed up with a souped-up FJ Cruiser and said he was going to show up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we
didn't
all
do nothing.
He never came out there. I mean, to his credit, he didn't roll his show truck.
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
but it was an all show.
It was a no-go.
Stork was pretty infatuated.
Stork still
with
have
it.
his FJ?
Yeah.
He does.
No kidding.
He's held true to the FJ.
Yeah, he's overlanded. I say overlanded. He's driven across the country, slept in it.
Yeah.
He's got a little. Has he got a diesel heater in it?
I don't know if it has a diesel heater in it.
Or some kind of electric heater, maybe.
Yeah.
Something impressive.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool, man. I'm glad you got a chance to get out, and you're still active in it. And even if you don't have a pretty sweet Tacoma, you'll find something.
Absolutely.
You'll find something by next year. I don't know. Maybe you could off-road the RAV.
No.
RAV4.
That would be rather hilarious until you smoke the trans.
Oh, yeah. It'd be done.
And then be back at Forts trying to get it replaced.
I think
I do have lifetime warranty.
Oh, there you go.
It is funny though because like as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about what's the one on the backside that's named
Rubicon Ridge.
I love Rubicon Ridge and
It's
sliding down those rocks, knowing
Yep.
this is a one-way trip,
Yep.
baby. I'm not coming back out of here. I've got.
So remember the section where you can go up it, and I think it was we all like just powered away up it, and Jeff Chisholm had to pull Malmgren up it.
Yeah.
We had never gone down it.
No.
Yeah, we went down it this year.
Why did? Because they turned it around.
No, we had just gotten to that top point and decided to go down. And it is every bit of terrifying going down as trying to go up it. It's that slick, yeah.
It's not less scary.
No, it's not.
Chisholm would be a great guy to have on the show, and he was in the shop here about a month ago, and love that dude. He's
Good guy.
He's like the ambassador. They actually pay him now. Polaris gives him a whatever those things are called, UTV, to take tours out for newbies. And Jeff's handicapped. He got paralyzed from the midsection down years ago in a farming accident, so he does everything by hand controls. But he's super capable. He's gone off-roading with us in his Tacoma. He's got a supercharged Tacoma with air lockers, ARB front and rear.
Nice.
Great guy. And, he'd be a fun talk. But the one thing I got from the conversation I had with Jeff was all of his time he spends at the Badlands in Attica, Indiana, is now a normal day there is like what a busy Saturday used to be. So Tuesday through Friday, or Tuesday through Thursday, it's just the parking lot's full. But on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I guess it is bonkers out there. He said it's not even really fun. The weekdays, you don't even want to go on the weekends.
Wow.
Is it just because it's accessible, it's close to big metropolitan areas?
Yes, it's a thing.
Okay.
It's probably the closest to Chicago that's of any substance. And I think the Polaris hobby is probably right now peaking. Wouldn't you say? Or
in the short time I've been involved, I don't know that it's peaking, but I can definitely see the reason why there's so many of them. I used to be one of those guys like, oh, they're just taking over. No, there's a reason why. They are purpose-built, and it is a lot of fun, and you don't have to have all jacked up like I had. But
sure,
there are guys that do because that's what they do. But I see the draw
appeal
to it. Oh yes, oh yeah. And it also gives me a little bit new respect for why they're in, like what as a Toyota or a Jeep even. You think, oh, they're always in a hurry. Yeah, we get rocked. We get beat up in the car. They're not. So they're not in a hurry. They're just enjoying the time because, well, it's different.
Yeah.
So I do have a different view on that. Eric probably still doesn't share that.
No,
but I do.
I just have a problem with the people who have them because they don't respect the territory.
Yeah, that's
and you can
bad.
give any idiot the keys to these things, and they think they're a four-wheeling genius.
Any idiot to keys to Jeep and Toyota.
Yeah, but it's more so with those because they really no obstacle stops them. So
I'll be this.
Because you and I were there in Moab when that family drove around us through the weeds because they didn't want to wait on us on your Land Cruiser. Remember that?
I wouldn't have waited on us.
Would you have driven through the brush?
Oh, you're talking about off the trail?
Yeah, remember when they went off?
Yeah, that's just
disrespect.
You can go on the internet and see an FJ Cruiser that's off the trail. That
I just feel
is anybody. And no, I would not have. I don't do the off the trail thing.
Yeah, just a little respect. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
Had I saw an FJ do it, I'd probably hate all FJs. Just the same way I hate Wranglers.
The last couple FJ summits, part of the reason why I believe they gave up, were people were doing that stuff. Yeah. Oh, this is a wide open area. I'm going to drive my truck and get a picture over here.
That's not what that's
a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, anything else you learned or saw? Was there any Toyota people there or anything like that?
No, they didn't have any of the manufacturers.
No reps.
No reps.
Missed opportunity, maybe.
I would like to.
Oh, very much.
It would be awesome to have Regan on the show because Regan went to the Toyota National Dealer meeting last month.
Yeah.
And they showed the new Tacoma. They talked about a new FJ Cruiser product coming out. That's going to be it's going to be
electric.
No, this is some kind of a gas-powered, like Ford Bronco beater thing.
Good.
But I'm not sure they've done this.
Toyota probably still won't take the top off.
I was going to say, it's not going to be open air, right?
They keep pulling the rug on us every time, so I would love to have Regan on the show to talk about it. At some point we're just going to have the round table. We'll get Gabe and Regan and you and just
yeah.
We just talk Toyota for like 2 hours.
Why not?
Let's do that.
The Toyota Summit, right?
Yeah.
We could do it around auto show season because I don't think anyone goes to auto shows anymore.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we do. We do a whole weekend of it.
Do you? Do you go?
Yeah, we go to Chicago. We stay at the Marriott right there at the show. Stay the whole weekend. We'll go for 2 days.
I kind of want to go this
auto
year.
show.
I kind of want to.
We don't miss it.
You haven't been to Chicago in that long?
It's been at least 10 years since. Yeah, I used to go as a kid.
When is it?
I think it's in
February.
Yeah.
I can get tickets. I'll just have to remind me. I'll get them coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we spend 2 days in the auto show.
That seems excessive.
Well, there's enough to do.
How many key rings do you possibly need?
Oh, it's bags.
I need a lanyard. I need a free bag.
No, if you can breeze through it like a car show at
anywhere,
Levy District.
Yeah,
but you can do the ride and drives and all that stuff, and we typically do that and walk around, and then there's other activities. And
absolutely.
No, we do. We make a weekend of it.
My kids got free Bluetooth speakers because they were standing right at the Toyota gal who was asking questions, and my kids raising their hand.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I remember my daughter got super excited because she got to drive in a Prius V when they first launched. Prius V, Dad. I'm like, shut up. Everybody thinks you're really weird right now.
It's like, we're going to get kicked out. We're going to find out that your dad works for Toyota.
Yeah, right.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Anything else going on, Jake, that we need to know about before we move on to the...
No.
All right. Is it that time for what I think it is?
Maybe. I don't know. Let's see what you push. It's time for the news.
Such an important theme right there.
It is. International news, Daryl. This should come as no shock to anybody, but Volkswagen Group is looking for an investor to take over its factory in Kaluga. You know where Kaluga's at?
What the heck is that?
Sounds like a horn in one of your cars. Kaluga, southwest of Moscow, where the production of it is halted soon after the Ukrainian war began.
Kaluga. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. VW said it's looking at various scenarios for the future of its business in Russia, and one option is to sell its assets to a third party. No decision has been made yet. That's from Automotive News. They haven't been, Burger King or McDonald's sold all their franchise here a while ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember reading that.
I'm surprised Volkswagen's hung on this long. I wonder how many other businesses are. Any Kubotas being made in Russia right now?
Not that I'm aware of.
I know Caterpillar had something going on in Russia years ago.
You have to wonder, right? How many companies are still doing things
There's
there?
A lot.
Just keep it really low key.
Probably. Who's investing in that though? You think it's Russians?
I don't know.
Is it going to be an emerging market in a few years? You think, or is there? I don't see foreign investment being a big thing in Russia.
No,
I think it's very insular.
I just wonder what cars are being pumped out of the Russian factory too. I mean, if you have a problem with that factory, they say, "So what? This is what you get." You know.
You don't think there's the quality control standards are that strict?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Am I being too ethnocentric, or I want to say?
No.
Well, here's
putting my values on them.
Their draft or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They won't have anybody to work. So. I mean,
yeah, good point.
I'm
trying to think though. Has there ever been anything that we've purchased as consumers here in the States that was like made in Russia?
No,
I don't think there's ever
oil. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a Russian car. There was a Chaika limousine that showed up like a year ago. It's like one of those old, like Cold War era limousines that looks like a Packard, but it was like from the 60s.
You'd have to do LS swap it, right? I mean, if you had...
Yeah. Well, this thing ran and drove. It was like fully restored and then shipped over here somehow.
But this is one of those scenarios where you buy a car like that, parts are going to be a nightmare unless you really like speaking to people in Poland or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. LS swap it.
Just be done.
and just deal with all the electronics and the doors going bad eventually.
Like the Russian cars, everyone makes fun of, the Ladas, the little cheap ones.
Yeah.
They actually exported those into Canada for a while in like the 80s as like a cheap, kind of like, remember how we got the Yugos?
Yeah.
And they were like, people bought them for like $5,000. I got a new car. You're like, not really. But over in Canada, they actually sold the Ladas for like 10 years, and they did not, go figure, did not sell well or run very well. But every once in a while, one of them will show up on like Bring a Trailer or something. Someone in like Toronto selling this.
I could see you jumping on the Lada is like one of those cars you see in like the spy movies, right?
Yeah.
Where they're always racing out of control and there's a piece of junk.
Like Born Identity and stuff.
Yeah. But I could see you buying if a mint Yugo came up for sale in Peoria.
Dude, there were 3 of them in Farmington for sale that were
He's already looked.
It was like $1,000, and I'm like, one had a title, the other 2 were parts cars, and I'm like, that would be cool. It could like make one nice one out of 3, but obviously my wife was not having that. Did you guys ever know anybody that had a Yugo? Or
one of my best friends in high school died in a Yugo. He rolled it and killed him. He was like 16 or 17.
Really?
And I didn't. As we got in this conversation, I forgot about it until just now.
Yeah.
So I sorry to bring it down, but
no, it's fine.
But we always wondered, would he lived if he was not in that Yugo? I don't know.
If he was in like a much safer car, like a Ford Escort or something.
And then as a parent, I think that had to be the worst too. You wonder the same thing.
Yeah, he was in a tragic wreck.
Well, I didn't know anyone that had a Yugo.
No. They were big for a little bit up in the suburbs, like
Big
pizza
for a
delivery
little bit.
people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And anybody
it was
who
a
had,
$49.95 car, wasn't it? When it was
it was dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie Dragnet?
Yeah.
With Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Like there's a riff about that where they keep getting demoted and they keep getting their patrol car goes from like an LTD to like an Escort to a Yugo, and in the end, like one of the bad guys like flips it off of the Hollywood Hills or something.
Yeah, off the observatory.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from that movie is the Satan worshippers.
Yeah.
And remember, there's a line: "I love to dance in my goatskin pants." Anyway.
Well, we started talking about Jacob's penchant for not wearing shorts, and now we're talking about Eric's goatskin pants. So we probably should get back to the news here.
All right. In national news, following a surge in traffic deaths in 2021, the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Highway Administration is urging states to work with local leaders and advocacy associations to assess the most dangerous roads for pedestrians and cyclists and develop plans to make them safer. The new guidance announced today as part of DOT Secretary Pete. Is it Mayor Pete? Is that how he goes by? Mayor Pete Buttigieg?
I can't even say it's Buttigieg.
It's,
Mayor Pete. That works.
Broader National Roadway Safety Strategy is a long-term plan to eliminate traffic fatalities that he unveiled in January. That's from Bloomberg. We'll post a link to that article. I've noticed like there's now, like when I was going down Sheridan.
Yes. To go to the taco place?
Yes. Now we got the road is now constricted, and there's like space all over the place. But I've never seen a bicycle up there.
Go through the south end of Peoria, or there's
down by Sugar and all that. Yeah,
there's bike lanes on either side. So streets that did have parking on both sides, 2 lanes of traffic, are now schmooshed. Yeah. And I think that's great in some areas that adopt things like riding your bike to work or walkable workplaces and stuff like that, or if you have housing close to shopping and things like that, sure, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. If that's some sort of mandate for like DOT funding to redo a roadway, it's like, yeah, we'll give you $20 million to redo the stretch of road, but you have to have like pedestrian friendly this and triple wide sidewalks and bike lanes and all kinds of bells and whistles. Yeah. I think we need to relook at that. And I'm not trying to say that like I hate cyclists and pedestrians. I don't.
But he does.
No, I don't. Like there's some cities where it's get out of the car, walk around, and you experience the city. By the way, it's also good economic incentives because when you get people out of their car, they're going to wander through the stores, they're going to go to the restaurants, they're going to go to the bars, they're going to spend more money. Yeah. I get it in certain instances. But like the south end of Peoria on Howard Street on the way to the airport, nobody's riding a 10-speed going like, this is a great thing to do here.
Well, maybe if you open it up, they can ride their 10-speed faster, so that way if they're being chased.
Well, they would do it with like the 2-stroke motor on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're all motorized now.
Now I get so like down where Sugar's at and down by the ballpark.
Yeah, like Adams and
You
Washington.
can, and I was at Zion the other day. I mean, let's slow down traffic.
Sure.
Let's let people be able to walk across the street without having
Yeah.
to worry about. I think that's fine if we're going to make a retail district. But to cast like a mile stretch, through Upper Peoria, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, Orange Prairie Road extension out towards like Dunlap. You see that where there's like, 4 lanes of shimmering cement and bicycle lanes and lights, and like
Nobody's on it.
nobody's going here.
No.
Yeah.
Now some of that might be chicken. What is it? Cart before the horse, chicken and egg scenario, where it's like if you build it, they will come. But I've also seen some boondoggles where they'll build something and ain't nobody coming.
No,
Yeah,
and I think that's why, like the railroad trails they'll do. I think those are important because people actually use those. They're a separate connecting leg, and it's for recreation on your bikes and stuff like that. Really, as somebody who rides a bike with a family, I would rather take any bike trail any day of the week that's not attached to a road when I'm riding with my family.
Agreed.
You know how stressful it is to ride a bike when you know cars are passing by at 45, 55 miles an hour?
And even as a good driver,
I don't because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Even as a good driver, though, there's times where I had a guy on a bike yell
Had a
at
near
me.
miss?
Well, yeah, I was at Westlake. I was getting something at Panera, and like random guy on a bike, which is fine, big parking lot. But I didn't see him. I went to turn. He's like, expletives. He started screaming at me, and my initial reaction was like, "What a jerk!" And Sarah's like, "You kind of almost ran him over." I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. Like, so you have to have some sort of planning.
Well, hey, there's been times I've switched lanes, didn't realize somebody was in my blind spot. Oh, I got honked at. Well, you're an idiot. Yep, I understand. It's car to car contact. Guess what? Nobody's probably going to die.
Yeah.
But somebody on a bike or a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the jetpacks? Where's the flying cars?
Not happening. Sorry.
All right.
Do we take this one? You got it.
George was just born, right?
It was. George Jetson was
George
born.
Jetson was just born.
That's right.
So.
It's coming. It's all coming.
It's the prophecy. Okay, so I'll take this next one here. Through 9 months of the year, sales of new electric vehicles are up 70%. It's according to some new data from Kelley Blue Book. 70% of dealers have moved to an estimated 576,408 new EVs.
Very specific.
Yeah, plus or minus 60,000. But in the used EV market, the turning point might come in January 2023. That's when the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 goes into effect. The act, also referred to as the IRA, because, there's no negative connotations with the letters IRA.
Well, that's the Irish Republican Army, right?
Exactly.
Right.
That includes first-ever tax credits for a used electric vehicle, and that's according to Auto Remarketing, some newsletter. Let me ask you this. When we start talking about incentivizing EVs, the focus has always been on new.
Yeah.
But again, with new vehicle prices and the interest rates being what they are, things like that, maybe consumers turning to used EVs is probably a good thing. Do EVs get to a point, though, where, is anybody buying a 10-year-old Chevy Volt?
I can't imagine, but I think that if somebody had a 3-year-old Nissan Leaf off a lease, that may not be a bad purchase, and if they throw a couple extra $1,000. But all that's doing is pumping up the value on those cars. I have to imagine.
I can see, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not going to reduce anything.
No, it's now
it's the same. I mean, some of your listeners may not believe it, but it's the same concept of, hey, let's give money to go to college. Well, what happened to college?
Raises the price of college.
You can't say, we'll take off $10,000 of your debt without a college going. We're just going to go from 40 to 50.
So you're saying them giving free money to get cars isn't necessarily going to translate into a cheaper car?
No.
Oh, man.
Somebody's making it up somewhere.
More expensive.
Yeah.
There will be somebody in the middle making more money because the federal government's throwing some money at it.
I understand incentivizing something to get it off the ground or because it's a good economic, what do you call it?
Policy.
Driver policy. Yeah, exactly. But when you start getting into used things that, I don't know. What else do we incentivize that would be used? Housing, college. I'm just trying to think of those.
Throwin Wrenches. So.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I just really believe it has to be an oddly specific car. I mean, I think that if we get a couple-year-old Tesla, a couple-year-old Bolt or something, or a Nissan Leaf, those are cars that, and actually the Leaf drops like a rock in its retail value.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I wonder if there's been a problem moving those cars.
Or is it a problem where, like the Leaf, where they don't want them to end up
landfill?
in garbage?
Yeah.
So they're just trying to keep them on the road as useful as possible.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is the government, when it tends to incentivize
Picks
things,
winners and losers.
It picks winners and losers, but it also, to some extent, it's to help an industry. It's to help the automotive, like the manufacturing industry here, the automotive industry and cars that are produced here in the States. You know, when they were doing all kinds of things like, the Chevy Volt, I think, had when that came out, it was like a $7,000 or $10,000 rebate or something like that. That was like, okay, now we get it to an affordable spot. But then we also get people like, hey, maybe we start buying an American-built EV, which was great. But this was like 2012.
Yeah.
That's before there was a lot of other competition. Nowadays, there's all kinds of EVs out there. It doesn't matter really where it is because everybody's making one.
I'd be interested to see it, with there was a press release with this. I would say this all comes back from the backlash as you hear that EVs are not affordable for the common man. Mm-hmm. So now the only people benefiting from the rebates as they've been standing would be rich people.
Yeah.
So somebody in Congress or some policymaker said, you know what we need to do? No. We need to have some kind of incentive for people who can't afford brand new ones. And that's probably how this went. And again, going back to the original thought, no matter how much incentive they put on them, it's not going to translate necessarily into more inexpensive cars. Somebody's going to make up that money somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this policy's really that beneficial to anybody, but
I'm hoping I can
auto
get
manufacturers
some sort of government subsidy to buy a 2012 Ford C-Max hybrid. I'm holding out hope.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that.
Just kidding. Speaking of General Motors, Eric, you want to take this one? I know you're
sure.
a big GM fan.
Yeah, the Detroit Free Press, I've often said it, is our news bureau here for the show. So this is from Jamie LaRue. GM is bringing back salaried workers back to the office 3 days a week. 3 days a week, kids, starting January 30th. General Motors has set the end of January as a time for bringing U.S. salaried employees back to the office. Earlier this week, GM department heads started meeting with their teams to discuss the automaker's plans to bring the workforce back to the office on a more regular schedule. People familiar with the plans told the Free Press. The people asked not to reveal their identity because they were not authorized to speak to the media.
It's a secret.
Don't tell anybody they're coming back. GM spokesman Maria Reynolds stopped short of confirming the timing, but said the company is talking to employees about the policy for returning to the office. Do you have to the sad horn noise?
Yeah, I've got it somewhere here. Let me find it. Apparently I don't. I think my card got wiped out.
Oh, when I pulled it and put it back in, did I screw it up?
I don't know.
Oh,
there it is.
That works. Well,
let me ask you this, though. That's not...
I can't believe people have
news.
still... I mean, Elon Musk, he created an uproar.
Yeah.
What, a year ago when he told everybody to come back to work?
It was like, 9 months
I don't think it was that long ago.
Yeah, but it was like, hey, you guys need to come back to work or...
And people are like, I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you hear that in other industries, locally. I know Caterpillar, other big manufacturing industries. They're like, okay, we've done the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you come back to the office couple days a week to start?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard too much, gnashing of teeth and pickets. And
you
stuff like
have
that.
worked from home. Let me ask you this: was it terrible to go back for a little bit?
No, actually, I enjoy going to work. I work in the office as much as I can.
Yeah, when I went to the taco place the other day in downtown Peoria, Katrina's.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, I love that place. I'm at work. We go down there all the time. And I'm like, oh. And that place got packed. I got there right before noon.
Oh, yeah, it's busy.
And at noon, I mean, there were people everywhere. And there was OSF people. There was CAT people.
Sure.
I'm like, there's a whole economy down here that relies on people being in the office.
Go figure. A downtown area with offices with people working might need a place for people to eat lunch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a foreign idea. No, I mean, you guys are also different kind of lines of work you guys are both in. You can remote to some extent. You can use technology to supplement to some extent. Mm-hmm. You can. There's some industries where you don't ever need to be in an office. I get it. But at the same time, do you guys think there's some benefit, especially in like manufacturing, tech, sales, things like that?
I think anytime you rely on a team, I think being face-to-face at some point matters, right? I don't know that you can do a team environment 5 days a week on the road or away from each other.
Maybe
Jake's saying you can.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm in the boat of depending on the industry.
Mm-hmm.
If you're customer centric, in sales you are, having that central area that customers would go to obviously is beneficial. But is the remote capacity? Absolutely. If I looked back on a previous part where I worked from home where it was like a call center type, no way did you have to have an office. And I'm on the team of they probably only want to bring them back because they're paying a lease on the property.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of industries that should just be fully. There were, and what people don't talk about is there was enough work from home before COVID that you don't realize. People were just, I've been doing this for 10 years, and you think, 10 years? What do you mean? But it was always my job.
Yeah.
And I think you're hearing less of the uproar, probably because the people that were just adamant of doing it, they just found some other place. The job market for the long time was hot, and those that just refused to go to the office realized, oh, I'll just go somewhere else, right? And then there are people that joined back, and I think companies knew that. I think like GM knows that, well, labor is the largest source of revenue. Like you got it, like the biggest budget, I guess.
The line item in a budget.
There will be some attrition due to this, and then we'll gain some back. I think the days of being in an uproar like what Elon did, those are gone.
Think so?
Yeah.
I mean, there's something also to be said. I've heard this phrase bantered about quite a bit. This is the type of corporate culture that we want, right?
Oh.
We want to foster some sort of corporate culture. I've touched a nerve as I'm
you struck it. I mean, I can
I
can feel the whiplash over here.
But I do feel like
once the boomers are gone, sorry,
there is some sort of generational.
Yes. There was a place for it. They were very successful. It's not working anymore.
What's not working overall? Just the approach. This is how work should be.
Yep.
I can see that. There's definitely
work
a
hard and get rewarded. I think people are moved on from that. I think it's more about if you work hard, do you enjoy it? What can you get back? Back either time or something that you enjoy.
I'm surprised too. GM's has picked 3 days a week as opposed to like full time.
They're being
Monday
cautious.
through Friday.
They're being cautious.
Yeah, let's dip our toe in the water. Just like I'm going to throw this ultimatum kind of out there.
But I think for a company like GM or the big companies like that, there's probably enough that needs to be in the office, as Eric said, for the team environment aspect of it. Because honestly, I think that's probably most of the innovation and change happens is at the water coolers where on the surface it looks like a waste of time, but some of the greatest ideas were on napkins, right? Or started in garages.
That's right. Steve Jobs story.
Yeah.
So speaking of General Motors, this next story.
Yeah, this is all you.
This is totally weird, and I don't know.
I worked on my fridge. I didn't put it in my project, so I'm interested to see where this goes.
Did your fridge go out?
I had to defrost it because the drain was frozen on it.
Is that what you... Oh, yeah, you've had some kitchen issues, my friend.
Yes.
Did you get all that sorted?
Maybe, kind of, yeah.
I haven't gone upstairs.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll do a post show. No.
Maybe we'll do some flooring upstairs.
Yeah.
No, this one really is not local news. Typically, we try to have an international, national, and local news story.
And local is generally Rivian or something in Peoria that's upset us.
Yeah. However, this is something I just didn't have any other place to put it. So my sister-in-law's fridge went out. It's less than a year old. It's an LG. It was a really nice fridge. They got a whole new suite. Everything just started defrosting and died. And it was like, okay, well, we know what the part is. It's some control board or something like that. But you're just going to be without a fridge till we get this thing. We don't know where we're going to get this part in. Awful, right?
Wow.
Awful. And I think it was like a $2,300 fridge.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
So that reminded me of old fridges that like my parents had or like my dad had at his work. He had this old like mid-50s Frigidaire.
Yep.
That was like a tank. And this thing, he had to defrost it once a year. That was it. The thing just ran and ran and ran, and it was amazing. And they actually tore that part of the building down. I think they just probably got rid of the fridge. It probably ended up in a landfill, and I guarantee if they dug it up 20 years from now and plugged it in, it would work.
Yeah.
However, I saw, like, so I was thinking about, like, how nothing lasts anymore, right? You get in that curmudgeon space where you're like, everything new is terrible.
All right, Gabe.
So this article came up, and it was in my feed. It was from thedrive.com, which actually I've been reading more and more. This says, the title is great. It's called Cold Start, The Rise and Fall of Car Companies Building Refrigerators. And as folks may or may not know, Frigidaire started as a subsidiary of General Motors. Chrysler had their own refrigeration division called Air Temp. Ford had their own. International Harvester had their own. American Motors, everybody had their own.
Your Cadillac, does it say Frigidaire?
Yeah, all the parts on there, the compressor, all that stuff's Frigidaire.
I had a Ford Fairlane, 64.
Yeah.
500 sports coupe, and it had that air conditioner. It was a Frigidaire.
Sitting underneath the dash.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so funny. So you go to an old car show and you see something like an old badge or something. You're like, oh, yeah, my grandparents had a stove with that same thing on it.
Yeah.
So it was a great little write-up, and it was kind of a trip down memory lane. Automakers avoid the term appliance like the plague these days. It's come to define a kind of characterless car that exists to get people from point A to point B and nothing more, but that hasn't always been the case. Back in the mid-20th century, your average home was stocked with stoves, washing machines, air conditioners, and especially refrigerators built by various divisions of Ford, GM, AMC, and so much more. It might sound odd today to think of buying an International Harvester fridge or a Chrysler Home AC unit, but it was once a common sight thanks to a unique mix of socioeconomic factors that all converged in the post-war era. And by the way, this might not seem like fun hobby reading material, but it totally was. And it just goes on and on. It talks about the history of them and all that. But the bottom line is car makers used to make fridges and other appliances, and they made them very, very well. Kind of like they used to make the old cars. And everyone remembers a Frigidaire from their childhood. My grandparents had this one with this giant chrome, like, vent on the bottom. And I remember it was, like, always spotless, and it was really cool. Like the big, remember the aluminum ice cube trays? Where you, like, bust them with the little lever?
Yeah.
So maybe automakers, I'm thinking, these things are still running. And in a lot of cases, people paint them up, have them like pinstriped and repainted and like turned into garage or shop fridges. Like, damn, that's awesome. That thing's 7 years old. It still works better than, my 2-year-old Samsung. So maybe automakers should get back in the game. I think there's money there. Maybe people want stuff that lasts, and then maybe they're willing to pay a premium. Who knows? Everything's so expensive now.
You folks here today to buy a washing machine or a fridge or the new Corolla? What are you looking for?
And that's what I think, though. Like we're taking some of the, some of the passion, some of the charisma out of automobiles. They're just an appliance. They do a job, just like your washing machine. Why doesn't Sony or all these other companies just make everything? It's
coming. I mean, we know that about Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Apple. I mean, I'm sure there'll be an Apple fridge at some point in our lives, right?
Maybe Toyota needs to make a side-by-side washer, double oven or something. I don't know.
That we go down that rabbit hole. I think they do one product really well, so they might as well leave it alone. But,
I'd buy a Toyota dishwasher. I'm just saying.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm tired of replacing stuff. I've had so many other friends. My brother he has got a relatively newer GE dishwasher. Replaced a pump motor or something, and then it started leaking and like all these plastic fittings. And he's like, you know what?
It goes.
Yeah, knock on wood.
It's just one of those things. Somebody should make something good.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, because I worked for Zold's when I was a kid, which is a
department store?
Yeah, it was a department store. There was one in Fairbury, and we had appliance delivery because we sold appliances, and we carried out so many of those old. And I was part of that delivery crew. That take like 3 of us to get these out of these farmers' basements.
Oh, like an old
especially the chest ones. Yes. Oh my God, they were heavy. And we had this one guy show up. His name was Elmer in Fairbury. He was like the recycling guy. Guy was as big as a bear, and he could grab these things, just wrap his arms around him,
just bear hug,
and just bear him and throw him on his truck.
200 pounds,
this steak bed truck, and I don't know what happened to all those. But I think about it. I mean, the compressor obviously wasn't efficient, but I imagine it was about the insulation and the steel on these things. And you have to wonder now, because you can take the sleeves out of stoves and the sides off stoves. Could we have just insulated those with the materials we have now and made those things 50% more efficient?
Probably.
There's some logic in that.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is, I think this notion of planned obsolescence. If you make a fridge so good that you're not going to see that customer for 30 years, what are you doing in those 30 years? What else are you making and selling? That's the thing. Not everybody is going to be out buying a fridge at the same time. And it was great in the 40s and 50s when you were doing housing booms and everybody was building single-family homes. Post-war, everyone had money, but it's just not sustainable as a company.
What about think about the repairability? And I think that's happening with cars, right? But nobody wants to repair. So
they'd rather replace.
Yeah. And that's not always the manufacturer's fault. That's just a fault of the environment that they're selling into, building these things. So as a manufacturer, not to be defending of the 1%ers, right? But if you think of it as a manufacturer as, there's incentive to make something that goes for 30 years and it has that name behind it, right? I see it all the time in tractors.
Yeah.
But there's the other side of it is the economy saying no one can fix it to keep it going for 30 years. Why?
Yeah.
Then they really run out. Because if
then
someone can fix it, their name, then someone buys new, and there's always new people. People come and go, right? There's new adults. There's new...
Right.
So that logic has a flaw in there's always new customers, but it is a throwaway society. So
it's a mindset.
They have to move faster. And move faster means not building.
But the other thing about that is just like cars.
Yep.
A 2010 4Runner didn't change much from a 2022 4Runner, but guess what? The features inside, Apple CarPlay and the backup cameras and the laser cruise. So, if Viking makes a $30,000 fridge that'll last for 30 years, it probably doesn't have a touch screen, probably doesn't tell you when the milk's empty. I mean, there's features that you probably,
it's not Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're right. It'd be nice. We said purpose-built a ton tonight, but if you had a fridge that was just made just to be a fridge and last forever, people would still be unhappy with it.
Yep.
Good point.
If you imagine Toyota saying, we're going to do away with the service department, do you still think they're going to make the cars to last that long? No. They're going to make the car to the next oil change to where you just get a new car.
Yeah, just changing it.
Exchange it. Don't change your oil. Just change the car.
We have this cartridge-style engine. We just pop out. We send it to the remod.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then we just pop a new disposable engine in there. Yeah.
If you're bored sometime, Google Willie's Night. Willie's Night, like the Jeep Willis, I guess is how you really pronounce it, but whatever. They had what they call the sleeve valve engine or something like that, where you just infinitely replace components. And they build it as like the engine that will never need service. You basically just replace almost like a diesel, all kinds of different things.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it's like, well, that's neat, but who knows how to work on that? Even 20 years after that company went defunct, it's like nobody knows how to do any of that stuff. Great idea, but people want something new. They don't want to just keep rebuilding.
Yeah, and who wants to be the one guy? That's all. That's your life purpose. Would 8-year-old Jake like that?
No.
Okay, just checking.
No.
I'm wondering. I think we're getting close to that time in the show.
Is it time for Gabe to appear?
It's time for your moment of month.
Well, thanks, Gabe. Appreciate that. Hey, according to Reuters, on October 23rd, billionaire Elon Musk said in a tweet on Sunday that he'd push back a month the date of the Neuralink show and tell event. In this tweet, it said, Neuralink show and tell, now November 30th. That is the tweet that was sent out. The chief executive of SpaceX and the car maker Tesla and the rocket developer, blah, blah, said the event would have been held on October 31st on Halloween. Co-founded by Musk in 2016, the San Francisco-based Neuralink aims to implant wireless brain-computer chips to help cure neurological conditions like Alzheimer's, dementia, and spinal cord injuries, and to fuse humankind with artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait till November 30th.
that was your moment of must.
It's better every time, doesn't
Thanks,
it?
Gabe. Are you guys familiar with Neuralink?
A little bit. I got the chip implanted.
It was literally 1 month ago, reported by Gizmodo, that a rights group, I'm sure it's an animal rights group or some sort, UC Davis, it's a college in California, they won't release photos depicting tortured Neuralink monkeys. Do you hear that story?
No, it
The
didn't
group-
come up in my
Yeah,
feed.
the rights group claims that there's 371 photos related to experiments of 185 autopsies of monkeys that died during test procedures with Neuralink. And that's thanks to Max de Guren. It was from September 28th. So all I'm going to ask, who's signing up for Neuralink?
No.
I'm probably okay.
You sure?
Probably good. I don't need an implant.
I mean, I got SpaceX giving me satellite, not SpaceX, but Starlink giving me internet. It's working pretty good.
that you know of.
Yeah.
Till they do your autopsy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the whole thing. I'm not that my body's a temple because I eat egg McMuffins and
I think at this point,
it doesn't matter.
why not eat as many egg McMuffins as you want? 'Cause
Yeah.
something else is going to kill us anyway, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Industrial pollution. Probably. I don't know. I trust somebody else maybe to man the controls when they're robotically, surgically implanting stuff.
Now, I mean, there's an argument to be made that capitalism will control these things, and people will sign up for this stuff as it becomes safer. So, but there's always going to be early adopters, right?
Isn't there some company that does RFID chips to like your credit card so you can like walk by and go boop?
I saw that in News O'Day. The very first person ever to put like a bank chip in their body or something like that.
That's going to be mainstream.
Yeah, you think
It's going to be mainstream.
Right. Just go buy a Red Bull and
the nice thing
wave
about
your
that
hands.
is I won't have to carry my cell phone anymore. Right? Like, I'll get the tooth implant, and I'll be able to wave my finger for purchases.
Wait, what's the tooth implant?
I'm just saying because my cell phone will be in my tooth or something, so that way I don't have to.
Ray Romano
I
had
don't
a
know about
bit
that,
20 years ago where he was talking about that with cell phones and getting cell phones implanted in your ears.
Yeah.
And people laughed, thought it was a joke. And I'm like, that's going
Yeah,
to happen. And it probably will.
Probably the funniest
Yeah, I
thing
mean,
Ray Romano
Bluetooth.
ever wrote.
Bluetooth
has started.
might as well. By the way, speaking of Bluetooth, if you have one of those Bluetooth headsets, does that mean you're like a truck driver or just a weirdo?
I still know people who walk into the dealership with one in their ear.
I see like delivery people or tow truck drivers. I mean, some people needs the hands free. I get it, but it just seems so dated.
There's I don't know. Maybe it's
They're very dated.
It might be a carryover from your occupation. Maybe you were like a transport driver or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I see and it's always like 60-year-old dudes.
It is definitely a certain demographic.
So here's
Oh,
You
Two
got
cents?
here.
Okay.
So a big reason that you see them with the mic
Yes.
is because the big ones, right? The truck drivers or just regular people.
Road noise.
So when you move that mic, they can't hear you. You can't do that on a set of AirPods. You can't move the mic, so it's always on. If you're not needing to talk,
Yeah.
you move it.
Okay.
That is. Obviously, I sold that stuff.
What is
that
it? Unidirectional or whatever it's called. So,
if they move the mic, you can't hear on it anymore.
Okay.
So let's say they're a business person that's always on calls and stuff. Instead of having to mute or figure, they move it, carry on, move it down, talk, move back up.
Okay.
It cancels out the noise. That is it's a thing.
It's a good app. It's purpose built.
There you go.
Purpose built application.
And there's
I
very
think
few of them left. So
The title of the show is going to be Purpose Built.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. When I go to the Culver's drive-thru, I don't want everyone else on the phone to hear me, so I'll move the microphone. It's like, give me one of them curd burgers.
yes,
Purpose Built.
purpose built.
For me to get fat.
That's right. Double baconator.
All right, we got the theme song for this next section of the show, Daryl.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of not having it.
Now, I know in my household that when I want to buy something,
Yeah.
I usually talk to my better half.
Like a
I can't
hands-free
s-
headset?
I can't say everybody at this table does the same thing. Today, get this. Somebody came up to me and said, I got a 1999 RAV4 5-speed, 4-door. I'm selling for $1,200. And you know what I did? I said, I'll buy it.
Did you?
No, because I thought about it really hard. And I thought my wife will murder me.
You're serious?
No, but
Why didn't you offer it up?
Yeah.
No, but here's what I did. Because I told him if I buy it, I'm going to flip it. And he's a friend of mine. He goes, I'm getting a lot of interest on it. I'm like, yeah, because you need to double the price. So what he did is he doubled the price.
Did you sell it?
Yeah, for $2,000. Thank
Did
God.
you get commission?
No, I should. But anyway.
We should. You know what? We could have tripled that up.
But that is Cars of the Week.
I'd have given you $300.
I bought the car in my head, and then I realized very quickly that if I bought this car, I'd be neutered by the time my wife got home from Memphis. So I didn't buy it. Now, in my household, like I said, I always ask for permission, but I wonder,
Yeah, always.
of all three of us, do you have to ask permission, Jake, when you look at cars?
No, I get the. What does it matter? Why are you asking me?
You're gonna do you get the you're gonna do what you're gonna do
You're
anyways.
gonna do what you're
Nice,
gonna do.
nice.
Yeah,
I've never got. I mean, I kind of get that
Yeah,
sometimes.
Beautiful.
it's whatever, dear.
But there's still a respect thing though, right? It's just like, hey,
I wouldn't be abusive with.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
wouldn't
don't just
wouldn't have
drag
nine-
it home and be
You
like
don't have 9 cars like some of us.
No.
8. But after
One time.
after watching my dad go through stuff, like he would buy stuff and then it would just be in the garage and my mom would find it. I'm like, that's not going to go well. And it didn't. So, yeah, honesty's the best policy.
Yeah.
I think there's...
I knew if I would have run down to the bank to pick up that $1,200, I would have been filleted. It was not worth it. So
That's a steal, though. Nobody's... The days of the $1,500 car,
Yeah.
like even a beater.
yeah.
The same thing that happened to the $500 car.
Yeah.
Or happening to the $1,500.
But it was a 5-speed, and I do believe that probably cost him money. I bet if it were an automatic, he could have asked $3,000
It
for
kept some people out
Yeah.
of the interest. Gosh, was it a four-wheel drive?
That I didn't even ask. Everybody, I've had that question proposed to me a couple times now, wanting to know, because I could have slipped that trансmission in the Celica. Anyway, I know.
Resourceful. You're an idea
He's
guy.
plotted this in his
Yes,
head.
I've thought about it all. Anyway, so Cars of the Week. I have come up with a car. I see Daryl has a car.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, mine wasn't loading.
Oh well.
Well, you have it though,
all
right?
But we'll let Daryl go first. This is an interesting find for you.
Yeah, it's
A
kind of
different-
homely,
different
kind of
look.
weird.
Yeah, what do you got here?
So this is a what I like to call a prosthetic beige 1963 Dodge Dart two-door sedan that showed up on Facebook Marketplace, much like a puppy who needs a home.
Oh,
This is a
he's a good boy.
Yeah, it's kind of Dodge's intermediate car from the 60s. Of course, everyone knows it as the butt of jokes on Car Talk with Click and Clack, Tom and Ray
The
Magliozzi.
Tappet brothers.
One of them, I think it was Tommy, used to have a Dodge Dart, and it was a convertible of this vintage. And, in fact, they used to send Christmas cards out to their friends with a picture of it with, like, broken parts all over the driveway because it broke a lot of stuff. Anyways, this is in the Chicagoland suburbs. I believe it's like Oswego or something like that. $9,500 is the asking price. You might say that's a lot of money for a 63 Dodge Dart. Mm-hmm. But let me just explain why this
Please,
is worth it.
sell it to me.
Okay, so this is a great survivor car, according to the listing. It's got the 170 slant 6 motor, the leaning tower of power for the Mopar fans.
In my 78 Volare, I believe I had the same thing.
Yep, same thing. It might have grown by that point. It might have been a 225 by your era, but probably made less power because of emissions. Anyways, push-button transmission in this. It's push-button torque flight, which is really kind of a novelty. You get to select the drive, forward, first, reverse, whatever, on the dashboard. It runs great, it says. It was featured in Antique Auto Magazine, and in the listing it actually has pictures of the car in the magazine. How nice. It has the original window sticker, Eric. The original bill of sale from 1963, a certificate of the owner. It actually does have a fair amount of paperwork. There was other pictures.
Would you have a binder at the car show where you'd like show this and people could flip through it? Would that titillate the senses for the car enthusiast?
On this, no. Like on a 70 Chevelle SS LS6 big block car, sure.
Okay.
On this, it'd be like, it looks like something my school teacher had in the 60s, and they'd walk right past
It's a
it.
medical grade white.
It is. It's very
If
sanitary.
there was a Red Cross symbol on the side of it, it would seem like.
It does look like something like a hospital staff car or something from Commonwealth Edison in the motor pool. But that's the kind of stuff I like. I like things that are pedestrian, very boring, very basic, plain Janes, if you will. I would scrape this thing. This poor guy put a decal on the front windshield.
Which I can't read from. I have to blow up my screen. But what does it say?
I think it says in a very Beach Boys 60s beachy font, it says 1963 Survivor. So I would take a razor blade.
Oh, that has you written all over it. You want to draw attention to yourself, don't you?
No. A car like this doesn't need to. The car like this draws attention to itself because it survived in spite of all the factors against it. Like,
is that a thing? People write Survivor on their windshields? Because I've never seen that ever.
No, just this dude.
Okay.
This dude clearly.
I wondered.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, it's not enough that you have a cool old car. You have to be like, look at me. Yeah. This guy, I feel bad. I feel bad for this guy because he put probably a lot of time and effort into preserving this thing.
Yeah.
And all his other guy friends have like Corvettes and like Camaros and Mustangs, and he's like, but me too. I'm cool. Anyways, I'd scrape that off and I'd buy this car.
$9,500. I mean, I think next to Bork, this would be a great little car.
Yeah, and I see, there's some opportunities to maybe branch out.
Oh.
I do like Mopars, but maybe I need to start looking at GMC pickups. Like
It did come up.
Like someone else. Someone else just loaded an image here. But maybe before we get to our guest, maybe we should let Eric pick because he, in spite of all of the contrary, he's a Toyota man through and through. But every once in a while, a little bit of a British car enthusiast peeks through.
And it's maybe the second time I've chosen one of these in 70 episodes.
I think it is.
Yeah, I remember fantasizing about the lady I used to take the paper to when I was a kid and mail delivering. She had a blue one with the British flag on the back. This is a 1976 Triumph TR6 Roadster. This was a perfect example of inflation on used cars coming back down. This car's $12,000. It's 71,000 miles. The paint's okay. It's not in great shape, but everything else runs really nice on it. And the pictures of it, the car looks in pretty decent shape. These cars, there's still people listing them in similar condition for $30,000, but they're going to find out really fast that the market has changed extreme on them. So $12,000, I don't think it's a bad price for a running, driving, nice wheels, nice paint, roll bar. And I think that I could have this car for 20 years. In my head, I could own this car for 20 years, pull it out every summer, have a little bit of fun with it, and get tons of eyeball at the car shows. I don't see these as much as I used to.
No.
I don't know what happened to them. There was a time where these cars were, I don't know how many were imported in the United States in the 80s, but it seemed like there was one in every town.
They were popular.
Yeah.
They were popular. And they're new. Here in the Midwest, they rust out.
Yeah.
Even seasonally, these things rust out. You drive them through a couple rainstorms, you start getting bubbles in the paint. It's not good.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful little machines. These also, from the mid-'70s, they were built during the British Leyland years where the build quality wasn't top-notch.
Okay.
I'll just say that. There were a lot of very big, very public auto industry faux pas, if you will, in Great Britain. But I'll tell you, there's nothing sweeter than the sound of a TR6.
Yeah.
There really is.
They sounded great. And I always imagined if you owned a car like this, you'd have a local mechanic who always knew you. Because you'd always pull it in.
Yeah. Jake was like, yeah, 100%, because you'd be there all the time.
Hey, it's running a little rough. Oh, yeah, bring it in here. Oh, yeah, these things, we got to take this and that. And you'd be like, okay, whatever it needs, Frankie, just do it. Yeah. So I didn't buy it, but I bought it in my head. Jake, I have bought something similar to this in my head many episodes ago, and I think I even got a sleeve tattoo when I did it.
Wait, what? You have a tattoo?
Remember when I picked out one of these? I sleeved myself out with tattoos. And
I forgot you photoshopped that.
Yeah.
Have you picked this?
No, something like it, though.
Oh.
What do you got, Jake?
I have a 91 GMC Cyclone pickup truck.
Ooh.
This has been the one.
This is a good pick. This is probably this is the winner of the night.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody has picked these before.
I have had eyes on a Cyclone since I was in high school. I drove a 92 S10, so obviously it goes with the territory.
That same body style.
But yes, so there's a little story. This one I found, it's up in Wisconsin. The market on these has basically not changed, not shifted if it has, less than 50,000 miles. It's got 8,700 miles on it.
Ooh.
And it's actually, I followed that truck. So it's had 4 owners, and it's been around but not driven.
Okay.
So there
has it come up for auction before or something, or
no? This is like on cars.com.
Okay.
But I know it's the same one because, well, it's got 8,700 miles, and like it had like 8,600 on it. So I keep watching it, and I'm like, oh, if I could only. But the price, legitimately, in 5 years, it hasn't changed much. So like they haven't been like selling it to make money. It's like almost $60,000.
Holy smokes!
I'm talking like 2016 was that price.
It was
so
that much, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've had an infatuation with these trucks since I was in high school, and there's a couple stories behind why I will someday have one. But I can't bring myself to buy one that I can afford because it's too special. You got to find that 8,700 mile one.
Right.
It's my car of the week.
The unicorn.
Yeah, the unicorn one. You can't buy one that's got 100,000. It's not special anymore.
Yeah.
I was sitting facing, one of those town, you kind of old cruise nights and stuff. I was probably a senior in high school, and I see this truck flash in my rearview mirror, drive by. We were parked, and I got in my truck and drove down because I knew it was a Cyclone, and it was parked at Dollar General, and I waited outside like a creep. And asked everyone that came out, "Is that your Cyclone?" And the guy finally came out and he said, "Yeah." And it wasn't a super nice one, but it was stock, untouched.
That's the best kind.
And hell, this was now 20 years ago. So I straight up asked him, "Can I have a ride?" Perfect, total stranger. And he goes, "Yeah, well, I don't know where to go around here. I'm from town." I go, "You got to go to Fountain Green Blacktop." Straight away.
Nice.
And I drove it. He let me drive it. It is every bit as fast as you could ever think, even in today's standards.
Yeah.
And they made in '92 a Sonoma GT. They made like 800 of them.
Yep.
This is also a true story. There was a scrapyard in Fountain Green, Illinois.
I got parts from my
Here we go.
78 F-150 there.
Yep, I believe you.
When I was a student at Western, because my dad told me in the 60s I needed car parts. There was a junkyard out there. And we went out to Fountain Green, and that place was still there.
It's
30
not
years
there
later.
Anymore.
Did it?
Yeah, they had to close. Anyway,
Yeah.
they had
Awesome.
a wrecked Sonoma GT, and I had the opportunity to buy it. It was, salvage, like part stripped, but it had the Vortec 4.3 from '92.
You had the skirts, the body cladding.
The body cladding was on it, and I could have bought it for $500, and I didn't have $500. It was a white Sonoma GT.
So the kid, I went to Western with a kid who had a white one with the gray body cladding, and I wonder if he trashed it.
That's it. It has to be.
There's no other.
White with gray.
Dude was from like Burlington, Iowa, and I think he probably hit a deer or something.
Yeah, it was.
Did it have a topper on it?
I don't remember, Daryl. But I remember it. I remember knowing it was the early days of cars on the internet.
Yeah.
There was a website that you could, was it like mycar.com?
Car-part.com.
Yeah.
That's still up.
And there were
Love that
only
site.
800 of those. This is the cheap version. I could have bought it for $500.
Sad.
And I didn't have $500.
I'm disappointed in you.
I know. I didn't have it.
I'm kidding.
But the GMC Cyclone will forever. I guess I'd have to probably look at the Typhoon now in reality of I'm a family guy, gotta have the 4-seater. But those will always be that special.
The creme de la creme.
Yeah.
Well, is the Typhoon more affordable? Are those cheaper?
Yeah, the Typhoon.
They make more of them?
They made more of them. They made them for 2 years.
Okay.
And the reason they're cheaper is, well, you know how it says if you ever seen the motor bay, it says Cyclone. The Typhoon said Cyclone. They just carried over the
same stuff.
The same stuff.
4.3, intercooled, turbocharged, all-wheel drive, almost like is it kind of like the Bravada Smart Track or something?
They used the all-wheel drive system out of the Astrovan.
Okay.
So, and it's
another one that's near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
Oh my
Astro.
God.
But
It took an hour and a half when we got here. Finally,
finally
the Geek Fest kicked in.
Yes. Yeah.
But that is the. I think even in today's, I don't know if it's still the quickest, but I've ridden in fast cars. Now it doesn't beat electric, like that
Sure,
Rivian
sure.
from Memorial Day.
Right.
Gabe brought that. Oh my God,
That's the fastest
but
vehicle I've been in.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, I would agree. It is
and
the
I've been
quickest
in,
by a long shot.
I've been in like pro stock
It would
cars
have
and stuff.
smoked
Like
the Cyclone.
as
But
far as production vehicles, that's got to be the fastest thing I've been in.
you're talking now a 31-year-old truck that they still haven't come out with anything that's like it. It amazes me that they haven't. It really has. Of all the mid-sized stuff now that's so big,
Right.
and the Colorado, they stuffed a 5.3 liter V8 into it in that last generation. Did nothing.
Yep. Couldn't do
They
it.
did nothing.
Yep. Disappointment.
Very much.
Yeah, when that thing
That's
came out,
my-
I remember there were people that had Porsche 911 turbos, and they're like, this thing is just as fast. And it's like, you can go to a GMC dealer and buy like that or a diesel dually pickup. And I'll tell you what, those things are still, as far as style, as far as like, what we're able to do.
Yeah, the little square body was nice.
Nice looking little ribs.
So what engine is in this?
4.3.
The 4.3. Okay,
Yep.
so the old ones, the regular ones had the 2.8.
2.8 or the 4-cylinder 2.2, or you could get a 4.3, a regular.
Yeah, you could get a regular. My S10 had a regular throttle body injected. This was the first like Vortec EFI. They used that turbocharged system from the Grand National, but went from that 3.6 to the 4. They just stuffed all muscle into that little pickup.
Which is funny, too, because at the end, by the time they came out with this in, was it 91?
91.
That body style, the S10, S15 body style had been out for 10 years almost. And so it was kind of like aging. It was. It would be like if you did something like this with, I don't know, what's an old platform? Forerunner. It'd be if you threw everything technologically at the Forerunner.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because it just it pumped some new life into it, and then like 2 years later they changed body styles entirely.
Yeah, and never brought anything back. But like, it didn't gain popularity when I had first like wanted one in college. That was my dream truck. Like I had that truck like on a post, like anything I could get the Cyclone on. They were cheap.
Yeah.
And in comparison, they were never popular. It was like an underground thing. And once enough of them, like they only made like 3,000 or 2,995.
Wasn't very many.
Once enough of them had passed that threshold of it was new enough that there were a lot of low mileage things. Once it did,
Yep.
all of them went up. They made a Marlboro.
The Marlboro, they had 10 of them.
The 10 of them with Targa tops. Oh yeah,
It was like a giveaway. They had them at some race or something. And
What's the chance you can find one of those?
well, if you smoke enough Marlboros, Eric, you can
I'm saying,
mail in your.
of the 10, how many do you think are still in existence?
There's one dude has 2 of them.
Really?
He's like some millionaire.
Okay,
He's just bought 2 of them. He's like, yeah, I got 2 of the 10.
They're
And,
Targa top.
Yeah.
Factory Targa top.
but that was also the day where if you like sent in 30 UPC labels, you got like a coat and
I know.
a sailboat and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. The other thing too, something that a guy I used to work with, he was an engineering professor at Bradley. He told me something very important, and he said, whatever you're doing, whether it's work, politics, civic groups you're involved in, church, you always want to have at least one crazy person in your group, because they will make sure to push the envelope, ask the questions no one will ask, or will force you to make the right decision because they're so far out there that everyone else will come back to kind of common ground. And at the point that this Cyclone was made, John Moss was like the big head guy at GM, like performance division. And Ford had the same guy, similar guy named John Coletti, who was in charge of the SVT division, special vehicles. So like the time that Ford was doing the Lightning, they were doing this, and like Dodge started doing the Viper. Like there were people in each division that kind of had a crazy person like, yeah, let's just like throw turbos and everything, or Dodge, like let's put a V10 in some sort of crazy, supercar. I miss those days because I don't think
happen.
No, it doesn't happen today. Now, granted, you can get 500 horsepower out of like a Volkswagen Golf, like there's a trade-off there, or an 800 horsepower Rivian, there's that. But at the same time, I kind of do miss the last days. I almost wonder if this is like the height of it, like peak Rome, Like, I wonder if this is like peak performance for
It's like
American
that saying
manufacturers.
on The Office. You wish someone had told you were in the good old days when you were in them. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the end of the lightweight trucks too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
absolutely.
It was after
Those
this.
were-
Everything started getting every safety feature. They bulked up. The sidewalls had to get thicker so that way you didn't get speared when you got driven into.
I bet you that thing doesn't weigh more than 3,200 pounds.
I bet you're right.
If that.
And what the thickness of the doors? 7 inches, 6 inches, maybe. Yeah.
The pillars you can actually see out of your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different time,
Be
a
fun
different
though.
era.
Different.
Are we-
I can already see the dashboard.
Are we dinosaurs? Does that mean we're old?
Yeah.
Damn it. I guess we're old.
We are, definitely. Well, I always say that you're like the oldest young man I know, but
Was it the top hat and cane that tipped you off to that?
nah, Jake Irish is right behind you.
He's close.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely. I mean, you guys are curmudgeons at a young age. I don't know how you do it. But
I think that's a term of endearment.
it is.
Nah,
It is.
I'm
I'm
gonna-
jealous.
I'll take
I
it
speak
as
from
that.
jealousy.
I'll take
It's
it.
been fun. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, Jake.
Thanks for having me.
It'll be 52 episodes from now. We'll have you back.
Hey,
We'll see you at episode 120, 126.
We have to do a big 100th episode extravaganza with like balloons, a petting zoo, skydivers. I mean, we have to do something.
so I only have 30 more?
Yeah, well,
Wait for?
you might. We'll throw you another invite. We need to do the round table too. I really think that's a good idea.
That'd be fun. It would be fun.
What's the audience say?
I don't know. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, you're a Patreon member. Make sure you send me your T-shirt size.
Yeah, info@throwinwrenches.com. Or if you just want to let us know how we're doing, and please, for the love of all that's holy, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts because that helps grow the show as well. I know we probably tapped out. Everybody that's listened has given us a review.
I don't think so.
No?
We got no. I don't believe so. I think there's a lot of lurkers out there.
Maybe we should. You know what? We're not going to try shaming the audience because that never works. But Eric's going to leave the guilt trip on you the next episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm waiting
worry.
for you. I'm waiting. And as a matter of fact, I even guilted somebody for even getting a sticker the other day. So maybe I might be.
Are you the
wrong.
poison pill?
I might be in the wrong.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway.
You can also follow us. We're on TikTok, or at least I am. Eric's on there too sometimes. We're at Throwin Wrenches on the Instagram. Sometimes we put car stuff on there. Other times it's Shania Twain videos or something. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing anymore.
All right. It's time to say goodbye. Say goodnight, Jake.
Good night.
Good night, Jake.
Good night, Jake.
Good night, guys.